Hello everyone, and welcome back to DMG. Recently we took a look at a Radeon card that cost $10. Well, what if you have another 10 to spend? What can you get? Well, this, the GeForce GT730. Released in the summer of 2014, this card has 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 VRAM. Now there are a lot of different versions of this card, but I definitely recommend the 2 gigabyte GDDR5 one because that's going to give you much faster VRAM than the DDR3 version. And there was also a 1 gigabyte version, and you're going to want the 2 gigabyte. Now this card has 384 cores, 32 texture mapping units, and 8 ROPs. Now, it runs at some pretty strange speeds by default, 902 MHz on the core and 1253 MHz on the memory. But since we have the ability to overclock this card, because it is overclockable, we're going to use Afterburner to turn that up a little bit to get some extra performance. Alright, let's get right into the benchmarks. Here's our GT730 graphics card. We have a usage monitor for it in Task Manager because it's new enough and the drivers are compatible, and it has reasonably recent drivers. First thing, I'm going to try and overclock it a tiny bit. Well, first I'll check what it runs at stock, and then based on that, turn it up. So at stock it's 902 and 1253. That's very interesting. Oh yeah, and this GPU runs at PCIe X8. I don't think that'll be a significant bottleneck because it's not a super high-end card, but that's just something interesting. I think 50 on core and memory is reasonable. And unlike an ATI card, you're not dialing in the frequency itself. You're dialing in, you know, the maximum increase over the base. So this is a 55 megahertz increase over its base clock. Gonna do a quick Furmark run here. Nope. And this GPU is quite quiet. Looks like we have a bit of a memory controller bottleneck. Let's see, I forget what RAM is on this. GDDR5. So this is the higher end GT1030. I could have sworn there was also like a GDDR3 one. And this is actually a Pegatron card. That's interesting. It's an HP OEM. So this card is almost 10 years old. And we have 2 gigs of RAM. So this is probably, of GPU video RAM. So this is probably one of the most capable cards I will be testing in this low-end GPU series, and it's about 20 bucks. Okay, so our temp did rise a bit, but nothing too severe. As usual, this is 1366 by 768, full screen, and ignore the dead pixels and weird red line at the top of the monitor. I promise I'm buying a new one at some point. Wow! Almost 200 frames per second. Oh, there we go. We're over 200. You might even be able to do 1080p on this card. I'm just doing 1366 by 768 since it's a nice midline between 720p and 1080p, and it's what I've tested all of the other low-end cards at. I mean, this is incredible. Basically no input lag. It's very fast. Look at that, almost 300. We almost hit 300 there. Yep, over 300 if we just look at the floor. Now, of course, this is not the ideal way to play the game. But, you know. Yeah, I'm impressed with this card. No complaints here. Absolutely no lag at all. You know what I can do? I think this card is new enough so that I can use Xbox Game Bar which, why is it so squished? Here we go. I can use Xbox Game Bar to monitor our frame rate. Yeah, we're getting quite a decent frame rate here. I'm not even going to test Unreal Tournament 2004 because I know it's going to run fine. Yes, best graphics quality, which looks literally the same as, you know, the lowest preset. Our GPU usage isn't even at 100%, it's in the 60s and 70s. And we're getting around 60 FPS. Our VRAM is 25% full, so only using like 500 something megabytes. Which, yeah, I mean, it runs quite well, I can't complain. Next up, Minecraft, another light-ish 3D game. Again, if you're buying a $20 GPU like this, your bottleneck is probably CPU, because you probably have a 2-4 core CPU, might not even be hyper-threaded. So if you're buying a super low-end GPU, at this point, a GPU this capable, comparatively, is not going to be your biggest issue. Here we are, let's set things on fire. I'm so sorry for those dead pixels, they are bothering me a lot too. Our GPU is at 100%. It's not giving us an FPS figure, but it looks smooth enough. There's not really a significant amount of input lag. Like, it's not noticeable. There's a little, but it's not noticeable. And that is the air conditioning, not my PC fans. I probably don't need to say that, but if I didn't, inevitably someone would have been like, bro, why is your PC so loud? And I would have been like, didn't ask. Yeah, so, I mean, just causing havoc and, like, burning things. I just tried to set the grass on fire. We're gonna ignore that. Just, like, setting stuff on fire is, fantastic. Runs Minecraft really well. Nothing suspicious going on here at all. Next, we might as well do some Squid Game, I mean Subnautica. Ooh, we're getting a great frame rate just on the login screen, compared to what these other GPUs have done. How about I put it on the medium preset? How about them apples? And I'm going to load up like my actual save, not just a random new world. Okay, I played around with the camera's focus a little bit too, so hopefully the moire effect lines on screen have gone away. It'll be the tiniest bit out of focus, but no annoying lines. Wow. Oh, we got some screen... Oh yeah, look at that screen tearing. Honestly, that's unacceptable. Our GPU is at 100%. Not a VRAM limitation. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can turn it down a bit and see if that helps. I'll whack it back on the low preset. GPU is still at 100%, but wow, that was like a 30% FPS increase. You're still getting screen tearing and stuff, but I think that's just it reloading textures. I'm just gonna go on a little cruise. I mean, this is very playable. If you want to pay the same amount of money for the game as you do for the graphics card, this is an enjoyable experience. Again, Subnautica, not super fast-paced. It's not like a high-action, like, FPS game. So you're fine with, like, high 40s. This is actually close to the frame rate I get on my GTX 980, although that's with the game maxed out at about twice the resolution. So, for what that's worth. Yeah, I'm very pleasantly surprised with this GPU for $20. I can't complain at all. Here we go. Wow, not even full GPU load. I've still got FSR all the way up from testing that FirePro card. I'll set it to quality. That's a decent balance of performance and quality. Wow, we're getting above 60. And 14 millisecond render latency. So that's pretty good. That's really good, actually. Let me remind you, this is a $20 video card. And our GPU VRAM is only 40%. You know what I bet I can do? Bet I can turn that off and set it to the fair preset as opposed to the low preset. And look at that, 50 FPS. Actually, no, let's just go cause chaos. I want to see how far I can turn this up on this card and still have a playable experience. Again, Radeon and GeForce cards are probably better to buy at this point than FirePro or Quadro cards for like low-end gaming because of driver optimizations. Wow, we're getting over 60 on this map. Which, of course, we're getting a little tearing because no VSync. Oh, we're up to 17 millisecond render latency, though. I'm going to turn it up to the good preset and see how we do. Wow, only down like 10-ish FPS, 10 to 15 FPS. Wow. Okay, so this is pretty impressive here. Like, we got enemies moving around, about to get some particle effects on screen, and it's performing quite well. There we go. There's our lag. Our VRAM is almost full. Whoops. Meant to do that. I might as well try the Witcher 3 on this card because I think it's actually capable enough to take it. Now, I recall it running fine on our $10 Radeon. Let's see if it runs fine on a $20 GeForce. Now, of course, there are other cards that might be better that you could get for $20, but this is just reflecting the prices of cards that always seem to be around $20. So when I say $10 Radeon, I mean this specific Radeon card is always around $10 on eBay. And this GeForce GT730, I almost said 710, 730 is always around 20 on eBay. And here we are getting a frame rate. It won't tell me what it is, but we are getting a frame rate in The Witcher 3 on this $20 card. It's not running super well. I wouldn't want to play it like this personally. Like, this is not a very enjoyable experience. I'm going to turn it down a bit if I can. That's not what I meant. Oh, everything's already at the lowest. So I actually think that the Radeon card might have run it a little better. There was a lot less input lag and just like glitching around on the Radeon card. Movements just seem extra sudden on this GeForce, you know? It's not a super pleasant experience, actually. I wouldn't recommend it. However, it does run, if you really have to. Alright, Fall Guys, we're going to do medium preset, but turn the textures to half res. And, no, I'm going to keep full res textures, but medium shadows. It's running quite well, I just want to say. This is absolutely stellar. Now, it says we're getting like 30-ish FPS. I'm sorry, I'm very bad at this game. But, you know, 30-ish FPS is perfectly playable. And this is on the medium preset, so you could, of course, turn it down to the low preset if you wanted probably like 10 more FPS. Because this is using the full res textures. Next, we're going to try beamng.drive. Now, considering that this ran decently well on our $10 Radeon, I expect it to run maybe twice as well on our $20 GeForce. After all, this card does have twice the VRAM, so that limitation will be somewhat alleviated. So, of course, in addition to the card just being more powerful in general, so I expect I'm going to be able to turn things up quite a bit more than I have been able to on previous GPUs I've tested. There we go. It's running impressively well. We're getting 48 FPS on the lowest preset. I bet I could turn it up to the low preset and it would run a lot better. Or sorry, not considerably worse. It's running a lot better than the Fire Pro, definitely. And even the Radeon. I'll turn it to the low preset, up from lowest, of course. Our VRAM is filling up. We're at about 85% VRAM full now, up from 75%. And we've only gone down about 5 frames per second. 5 to 10, actually. And, 34 is playable for BeamNG.drive, and it's a decent looking game at these settings. So again, if you want to pay $5 more for the game than your GPU, it's definitely a good investment. Now we are getting a bit of input lag. Now that we're going faster, I'm going to hit that tree. I did not somehow. But, whoops. Now that we're going faster, we are getting a bit of input lag. So, it says we're getting a solid 60. GPU is at 100%, but VRAM is only a quarter full. So we could definitely turn it up a bit. We could turn up textures and shadows a little bit. But I'm pretty impressed with this card. Wow, average of 63.9 FPS. So we can definitely turn things up a good beat. A good beat, apparently. I am going to just turn it up to the next highest preset. So, I love this menu. We'll try the high preset. It's crazy to be putting anything on the high preset on a GT730. We're still getting 44 FPS down here. VRAM is now 37% full, so you might even be able to turn it up to one preset above this. Might be able to turn some settings up even more. Because, wow, it's running very well for a $20 graphics card. Fortnite, I'm going to set 3D resolution to 100% and see how that does. I'm on the low preset except for the 3D resolution, which I've still got set to 100%. And that's probably the easiest thing to turn down if needed. And I'm running it in DirectX 11 mode, not the performance API. Look, this card is strong enough that it can probably run it with DirectX 11 low settings at an acceptable frame rate. Oh wow, that's running quite well actually. Actually no, I'm going to immediately die if I go there. I would say it's running quite well, personally. Our VRAM is a little less than half full and our GPU is maxed out. Honestly, again, if you're buying a $20 card, your CPU is probably going to be your bottleneck because Fortnite has started to run terribly on quad-core, even hyper-threaded quad-core CPUs. Our CPU usage is in the 20 to 30%, and we've got a 16-thread chip here. We are seeing a little bit of lag, but it's nothing like super severe. That is not the shift key. It did not work. Alright, let's try and cause some lag. I don't recommend doing this, ever. Whoops. Is this a person? That's not a person. Okay. Again, reminder, this is 1366 by 768, not 1080p. It's a lot closer to 720p than 1080p in terms of just like where it falls on the resolution scale. Okay, our VRAM is now over half full at 62%, and we've still got 100% GPU utilization. We're seeing these random lag spikes every now and then, but I don't know if that's just something that will go away with time. I hope it is. I'm just gonna keep on moving. As it's drawing in more of the map, it's actually not as laggy as I thought it might be. So map loading is rather smooth. I just imagine actual combat won't be very... Is this a guy? I think this is a guy. I think this is the person I can run over. That worked very well. Look how good I am at this game. Hey, I hit him. Wow. Whoa! I'm so good. I actually... I am the best Fortnite player. I should be a professional gamer. With these skills. With all of my great skills in this video game of Roblox here. Okay, I think I am going to wrap the video up here. Because that's all of the games that I was going to test. It's a pretty impressively capable little card. And, if you're on a super tight budget, I honestly wouldn't have any problems recommending it. Now, if you can get a GTX 750, or just really anything better, that would be great. But if you're looking for like a low-profile, single-slot card that you can still do a little bit of gaming on, I do, I don't have any problems recommending this little card because it's so cheap. That's it for this video. Next video, I'm going to review a very similar card and see how it performs. But yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time.